Hey everybody. I know we have probably like one more minute, so I'm going to give just a couple people some time to jump on. I have a black eye as I hit my eye on the car door. I actually hit it way over here, but for some reason it's bruised down there, and that was on Tuesday. So you would think it'd be gone by now, but it is not. So just so you're not concerned, there's no need to call anybody on my behalf. Okay? I'm going to share my screen. Congratulations on making it to the fifth week. I know you thought you weren't going to make it, but you did. And so I am going to share my slideshow here. Okay, so let's just start with this question. You can put your comments in the chat. I'd love to see what your thoughts are now that you had an opportunity to think a little bit about your own leadership and what you might want others to
Mama,
see when
what's
you're
this?
running your school.
Mama, what's this?
You're gonna hurt yourself. Can you calm down, please? I'm on a meeting.
This meeting is being recorded.
Are y'all putting in the chat or are you thinking? I don't have anything yet, so give you a second. A
little bit of both.
little bit of both. Okay. Hey, I like that, Kelly. Thank you. It's good. Thank you, teacher. Good. Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay. Awesome. Okay, one more. I like that. Good. Anybody else surprise themselves with something? Mm-hmm. Good. Well, that's awesome. Those are some great takeaways, and it really helps you kind of put some things into perspective because when the workload is sitting in front of you, I'm sure you're thinking there's just no way. But somehow we find a way. And I know that as you are moving into your leadership roles and moving to inspire and work with teachers, there's going to be times that they feel the same way. And so it's great to speak from a place of experience and a place of understanding for them. Um, I also want to talk about some of the things you said on the first slide because honestly, there's some things that you're going to be dealing with, and you're not going to be sure exactly how to handle it because it's either going to be a new situation or difficult situation. And I think one of the things that you'll want to do is lean back on the leadership values that you're selling to your staff or promoting to your staff, that they see you through these leadership values. And really what that helps you do is it's the decision maker before you're in the situation. So if you are, always putting kids first and you get to a challenging spot, if you have that to lean on, it can help guide some of your decisions. And where the staff might see some inconsistencies because you've made a decision for this family one way or this kid one way, as long as you're consistent in those beliefs that you've made a decision based on what's best for that particular child, then they'll always stand behind you. If your staff isn't sure what you stand for, then a lot of times there's confusion or there's some boundary pushing or there's uncertainty in themselves. And so you want to be able to clearly lay out what you stand for. And you want to think about right now, can you clearly say what your current principle stands for? And it's hard to be in this spot that you're in and not think critically about your principle, but also know you also could be one of the strongest advocates for your principle because you're starting to walk in to their shoes a little bit. And so whatever your principal might be struggling with, you can be a positive voice for them out in your school community and have their back a little bit because there's going to be times when you need someone on your staff to have your back as well. Okay, so we're about to get into the last assignment. Are there any specific questions that you have before I get into that? Okay, so this last assignment is actually brings together all the things that you've learned so far. You are going to have the opportunity to create a short presentation, about an hour long, involving community members and staff members. And it's with the goal of increasing community engagement. And so, one of the ways that you're going to begin is you're going to need to research some of the best ways to increase community engagement. And I would lean on that target group that you initially worked with, or maybe there's a particular area that you want to address. For example, if the special ed group was a group that you're focusing on, then you may want to specifically research how to better engage special ed families. If there was a concern that you want to address, like bullying, how do I better engage families in supporting bullying efforts? So you want to think about the specific area you want to address. This PowerPoint is not a PowerPoint I created. This is a PowerPoint another professor put together. So it's just a very basic, you don't have to use this. It's a template that they created to just walk through kind of the format. But you want to be careful in the sense that you really want to look at the assignment and you want to look at the rubric to make sure you're including all the components. The first component is going to be you're going to write a letter inviting this group together. You're going to explain what the committee's for and give it a name and include all the logistics. The agenda slide is going to be a basic agenda slide. Read the rubric to determine what you need to include in there, but it's not the detailed agenda like we did in Module 3. Again, you're going to include your vision and your school goals. And then you want to share the research on best practices for family engagement. And this is kind of the foundation of your presentation because you're going to want to tie things back to this research. So you want to share what are some best practices? What does the research say is necessary? What has been found and proven to be successful? So you want this to be a hearty section, more than one slide, I would recommend. And then you want to analyze the diversity in the student staff populations. Some of you have gotten a little bit lazy on this the last couple of modules where you're just kind of throwing it in there. This is an important piece. If you are targeting a specific group, you need to share why, who this group of students is, how the staff population connects to this, what this has to do with your vision, maybe some things that you uncovered in module 1 that you want to address. You're going to share your survey data from Module 4. I know that the survey data is not actually your school, but just share it as if it was your school, because basically you're kind of just giving a state of the school address. You're kind of giving this committee some background information. And then you want to talk about what you currently do at your campus for family engagement. This is another area where students sometimes rush. This is an area you really want to think about. What does your current campus already have in place regarding, do you have PTO meetings? Do you have family engagement nights? Do you have literacy nights, core content nights? Do you have meet the teacher nights? Do you have parent conferences? Do you have carnivals? Do you have diversity events? Whatever your campus currently does, list that information about what your current practice is. And then you want to analyze, is there anything that best practices said that you currently aren't doing? Right? So if best practice says we want parents to be engaged in a way that includes their background, their expertise. But the only time you have parents in is when you have them volunteering to make copies in the copy room. Then there's a big gap there. That's an opportunity that you're missing according to what the research says. So you want to identify those specific gaps. And then you want to offer some ideas for how you want to address those gaps. And you want to give 2 or 3 ideas about what you would suggest that this committee consider. And the reason you come to the table with some ideas is because you want to, number one, you only have an hour. Number 2, if you leave it open to whatever everybody brings to the table, it gives you no time to do research, to know if it's research aligned, no time to know whether you have the resources or the ability. So you're going to do some of that background work before, and then you're going to bring 3 ideas to the committee. So you might say, I want to have, so here are the 3 options. We could have a literacy night. This will help with blah, 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 whatever some gaps are. Or we could do a diversity program. This will help us address this, blah, blah, blah. So you kind of just roll out some ideas for them. And then after you roll out some ideas, you explain how those ideas will support the gaps that you identified. And then you give them an opportunity to vote or to give input. And then you lay out next steps. And then you give references. Okay, so what questions do you have for me so far?
Ma'am, so in the research section, it says
Mhm.
research regarding best practices. So what I was thinking, like, do we need to go back to our module 1, yeah, equity, in which we figured it out like 4 weaknesses or something, and we can address that ones in this, or like related
So
to our research or not?
You're really trying to address the gaps that exist in your current engagement practices. And so if you see that there is a gap, an area that you're not addressing in your current engagement gap and practices, you'll want to research that. Or if there is a gap, according to your module 4, maybe there's a concern that came up. Or if there is a group you've identified, like in your module 2, your second language learners or your newcomers, then that's a group of students you might want to target.
Okay.
There's really probably module 1 isn't going to give you an area to research. You're going to want, and the reason is because researching parent engagement is way too broad. So you're wanting to narrow it down to something specific that's going to help you kind of sell your point.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, you're welcome. So let's look at well, let me see. Let's look at the rubric. Okay, so again, you're going to have your agenda. You're going to want to make sure that you research that there's explicit connections between the research and the professional work, that the specific strategies of how that engagement is helping address your particular need. When you go over your student and staff diversity, you want that to be within context. So you want some information and connection either with your vision or the practices you're going to be, or the engagement options you're going to be presenting. You're going to share a little bit about the equity audit and climate survey results. I would just do a couple of slides on here's what the equity audit said, here's what our climate survey revealed. And then this is where you will analyze your current practices. And then here's where you're going to engage in a brainstorming, consensus building activity to get everybody on the same page. And then that participation invitation is going to be an email that you email your guest, inviting them to the meeting. And of course, you're going to use proper APA formatting. Okay, any questions?
I'm having a hard time with the tone of this one. Like, obviously, if I'm addressing teachers and whatnot, it's going to be, we'll have an introductory activity. It'll be fun and whatnot. But this one, it seems like a lot more, it would be a little bit more serious. Maybe not quite having the warm up activity that I had in my other presentation. This
Yeah.
one seems like the different. So, is it appropriate to have any kind of a little warm up when they come in, when they walk
Yeah,
in, or is this like,
absolutely.
let's get right into it?
Yeah, you certainly can. You certainly can have a warm activity. You're going to want it to be brief, but also you could deliver your information in a way that we have a great opportunity in front of us. There's a group of students that we have not in the past have had a great presence in our building. Their parents haven't been part of the different events, and our goal is really to have all families part of our events. And so that's why we're all in here together. We're going to come up with this awesome solution. I've got some ideas, but before we begin, let me share a little bit about the state of where we are. So you can always present it in a way that kind of gives people the big picture and gives them an opportunity to be part of something really great, a shift for your campus. Any other questions? Well, I have a whole few minutes. I'm happy to either answer any other questions or let you get started on it. You do have your discussion post this week. So again, I know as we get towards the end, people are just so excited that sometimes they rush, but I really encourage you not to. Sometimes these tend to be the lowest grades. And so I would just really suggest give it your all, every bit of your energy that you have in all your other assignments, okay?
I just wanted
Awesome.
to say, I just wanted to say hi.
Oh, I did you. Well, as y'all get started, if you get stuck, feel free to reach out or message me. Otherwise, I'll see you on the discussion board. Don't forget to fill out your advice for the next term. And if I don't get a chance to see you again, have a great summer and good luck on your rest of your classes.
Thank
Thanks,
you so much.
everybody. Okay, bye-bye.